So anyway, we go, and one of the guys is imbibed. Hey y'all, welcome back. I just wanted to reminisce for a few minutes while I get ready to go dancing, believe it or not. My friend Bonnie turned 70 and we're all gonna go meet to eat, and then we're gonna go dancing. And I haven't done that in forever. Let me correct that too. I just went dancing with her a few weeks ago and we had so much fun. Her little friend was there and he is a dancer. He would dance with a stump. So I actually was able to do it. I might insert some video of it here. It was actually quite fun. It was a lot of fun. But I'm gonna get ready, and I was actually thinking about 1987, believe it or not, and I was gonna get out my curlers that I recently came across at Goodwill. I'll get them out in a second and show you. I was gonna use those, but I tried them after I first got them and they didn't actually do as well as I remembered. I don't know if I'm remembering them better than they were because my hair was shorter then, as in lots of layers. Let me get them out, I'll show you real quick. These, do you remember these? And look, it actually had this on here. I don't know if I've ever told y'all, but thrifting is my jam. Like, it's like the thing I love to do more than anything. Not more than anything, I love to do it. So anyway, yeah, I came across those at Goodwill. I was just walking around, like, let me just go see what's back in the home area. And there they were, and I did not even hesitate. I just picked them up. I didn't even see how much they were because, you know, I knew they couldn't be over maybe $7 or $8. And I think they were only like $6, but I'm not sure. But anyway, I picked them up and brought them home and I curled my hair. And they just didn't do as well as I thought. But these do really good. These are Conair Big Curl. And so I'm curling those away from my face, but this one I'll curl towards my face. And you know I'm gonna use my favorite little blowout brush, which I'll show you that. That one's a Revlon. But anyway, so back to my story and what I want to reminisce about. I was actually just thinking about this story today, and coincidentally, my friend Jennifer messaged me like an hour after I thought about it and said, hey, Nikki, her daughter is my neighbor. And I was like, oh my gosh, I knew who she's talking about right away. So this was about October of 1987. And the reason I remember that is because my mom and dad and their friends, Mary and Barry, went to New Orleans for the weekend. And Mary's daughter, Chris, ended up staying with me and my brother because she was an only child and they didn't want her staying alone, so she stayed with us. And Chris, so fun and so funny, but she was very sheltered, I would say. Not an introvert or anything like that, just sheltered and a little naive, and that's just how her mom raised her, which is fine. No problem with that. So, but what was so funny, and for these young ones, they might not know what this is about, but you know, the thing to do was to go cruising. And if you weren't doing that, the next thing to do was go to the movies, and you had 2 areas within 30 minutes that you would have to drive to go to the movies. I grew up in North Georgia, and I hear all these people like reminiscing about the 80s and oh, wasn't it a blast? And it was fun, don't get me wrong, but there wasn't really poop to do. So anyway, Jennifer and Nikki came over. I might have gone to get them, I don't even remember, but they were all at my house and we got ready. And I had only been driving for like a month, and I had a wreck 2 weeks after I got my license. So that was just, it was just insane. But anyway, so we go out and we cruise, because what else is there to do? And we drive over from one area of town to another area of town, and it's not too far away, but we end up stopping at a payphone. Remember those? And I don't even know who we were calling, but we see some of our friends drive by. One of them was Nikki's brother, half brother, and a cousin. And one of them was this funny as heck guy named David, and his little catchphrase, which we all use because he did, was everything and all. And how he said it was just so funny. I can still hear it. But anyway, so we run into them and start talking to them. This, mind you, was right in front of a gas station at the payphone. And we decide, hey, let's go to a movie. And the one we decided we're gonna see was Like Father, Like Son with Dudley Moore and Kirk Cameron. And 8 of us get into my little Isuzu 4-door. It was a little 1982 Isuzu I-Mark. Every member of my family had driven it, and every member of my family wrecked one corner of the car, which was so funny. And we haul back down to this one area of town, straight down the interstate, which now, if you try to go down that interstate, it would probably take you twice as long to get there because traffic is just insane now around here because it's not the same area I grew up with. So anyway, we go, and one of the guys is imbibed. He's a little drunk. And, you know, we're like, don't you dare throw open this car, don't you dare throw open this car. And 5 of them are in the back, and 1 of them, or 3 of us are in the front. And of course I'm driving. It's a 5-speed. Like, can you imagine this little car? It's this little bitty car. I'll see if I can find a picture. And we are all just like laughing like crazy because one of them is sick, and we're like, you better not throw it in this car. So we go to the movie, and of course we don't watch it because you never went and watched it. This also was probably later at night. I don't know about y'all, but we would go to midnight movies. I'm sure this was not a midnight movie, but anyway, it was so much fun. It was so funny. We were just like, please, please, please don't get pulled over by the police with 8 people in this tiny little car. It might have sat 4 uncomfortably. We were all smaller in the 80s though, anyway. Anyway, I also want to show you another nostalgic thing. Do you guys remember this Merle Norman application? They changed them later. I cannot believe I actually still have this, and it still has makeup in it. They changed it a few years later. I don't know if it shows a year. It doesn't. But anyway, I'm gonna try this makeup. Believe it or not, there's some still in there. Now, I just washed my face because that's what you do now. You wash your face before you get ready again, and that's very pasty. I don't think I'm gonna be able to use it. But in the day, you did not wash your face. At least we didn't. You just packed that stuff on top of what you already had because it layered it really well. Like it, I don't know, for some reason we just thought it covered better or something. So we did not take our makeup off and then apply new. We just applied right over what was already there. And I'm sure this is not gonna work as well as I'm thinking it did in 1987. But anyway, that was just so fun. And then Jennifer actually mentions Nikki, so it was just great. But anyway, I haven't been dancing in a few weeks, and before that, it had been, gosh, years. Because really, there's no place around here, at least that I know of, to go dancing anymore. And so anyway, we didn't do it. I have put on this shirt on purpose. Yeah, see, that looks bad. I put on this shirt on purpose because another thing, I don't know if you guys remember, was in the day, we had this brand called Outback Red. Does anybody remember Outback Red? And what you would do in shirts like this is that you would roll them up a few things, and then you would pull, and you would pull it really, really tight. Now this is loose enough that it's not pulling it as tight as I'm thinking back in the day. I mean, I remember we pulled them so tight because you wouldn't want them to move, and you would want it kind of blousy like this. Not blousy, but you know, just kind of loose. And my kids noticed one day, they were like, Mama, what's this like line across your arm? And I was like, what are you talking about? And sure enough, there was a line, like an indentation in my skin, and I know, because it was on both of them in this area, I know it was because we would pull our Outback Red shirts up like this, and I had a pink one. And so that's why I put this on to see. Does anybody else remember that happening? And am I gonna be able to use this? So let me see. It's not atrocious, but maybe it is. Anyway, well, we'll see. I may redo it. I have some time. In the day, when my skin was nice and youthful, it just glided on like nothing. And I had beautiful skin and thought it was just, it was just like something that would always be there. And people were like, oh, take care of it, it's beautiful. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. And now I see what they mean. And now I see what they mean about, take care of your teeth as well. Anyway, it is what it is. So now I have rosacea, and I'm going to use this Clinique Redness Solutions to see if that'll help cover a little bit more. And normally I will put like sunblock or something with it to thin it out, but I don't think I'm going to do that tonight. Anyway, do you guys have any fun memories like that you just think of randomly and they just take you back? In 1987, I don't know about you guys, but again, we were in a small North Georgia town. There wasn't really much to do. If you wanted to do anything, you literally had to drive 30 minutes south or 30 minutes east. And even further, of course, but to just do your basics, that's where you went. Everybody went to the mall, and now nobody goes to this mall anymore. And it's so sad because I'm telling you, that was the place to go. And I worked there. I worked at 3 different stores at one point. Not at the same time, but during my youth or whatever. And actually I worked at 4 because I worked at 3 stores that were owned by the same people. I worked at Karen Charles, Casual Corner, and Ups and Downs. Do you guys remember Ups and Downs? I loved Ups and Downs. I couldn't afford anything until I started working there because you would get a half off discount. So when that happened, I could actually afford to buy stuff there. Of course, on my paycheck, everything went to paying for that. But anyway, it's just sweet to remember these kind of things. It makes me nostalgic, but happy. And my kids are so funny. They would say stuff like, well, Mama, when you were growing up, what did you do? And because now the hometown I grew up in, they shop there and go there, and we always go there, went there because my parents lived there. I was only like 20 minutes south of them, if even that, 10 or 15 minutes. And they would be like, oh, well, you had fun stuff to do. And I'm like, what you see now is not what was here then. We were definitely those kids that, they did not know where we were. We used to lie and say we would go midnight bowling 30 minutes away. So of course my mom couldn't find us. I mean, they'd have to go out of their way to find us. Or we would go to midnight movies. And when I tell you we went to midnight movies, what we would actually do is go anywhere in the heck we wanted to. Probably to some party, probably to some bonfire, probably, anywhere. And what we would do is we would look in the newspaper. Kids don't even probably know what these are one day or anymore. We would look in the newspaper and we would read the summary of what the movie was about. And then the next morning, when our parents woke up and they were like, oh, well, how was the movie? We would say, oh, it was so good. It was about XYZ and ABC, and she did blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And it was totally, you would kind of just basically summarize what you had seen, of the trailer on TV and what you read about in the paper. And of course, if you heard anybody talking about it. But that just cracks me up because now, like, I can see within 5 feet, like, where my kids are at any time. And my dad, my poor daddy, he has early to mid stages of dementia. And let me tell you, that's heartbreaking. And that is just, I think, a part of our age group now is what we are going to have to do is help take care of our family. And, that is such a heartbreaking little disease because it just, they just are not the same. And I don't know if I'm gonna like this. They're just not the same. And he is the sweetest man, and everybody that knows him loves him. But he will upset himself so bad because he actually will talk himself into something is the way it is because he thinks it. And he convinces himself that something is the way it is because he had this thought. And you're going, no, Daddy, that's not it, because remember XYZ or blah, blah, blah. And, you know, he'll go for a walk and he comes back minutes later when normally he might walk for a little bit longer. And, you know, he's just like, growing up or getting old is not for the young. It's very hard, he said, because he thinks one thing and they tell him it's something else. And, you know, what do you do? It's just heartbreaking as hell. It's just heartbreaking as hell. And I find that he hugs me a little longer, which is so nice. I'm definitely a daddy's girl. I've always been a daddy's girl. Oh Lord, that reminds me of so many stories. I'll reminisce about this a different time, but remind me if I don't ever come back to it. But it's basically, I told him a little white lie when I was 14, and me and my friend Michelle went to a party with older kids in high school, and someone told him, oh, I just saw Christy at such and such party. And he's like, no, she's bowling in the city. And he's like, no, she is 10 minutes away at this party. And, oh God, let me just go ahead and tell it. So what happens, he walks in, and oh God, let me just do this right way. He walks in, and I am sitting on the third step of this house that goes then into, it's like, I guess, a split level. Then it goes into a hallway. And so I'm on the top, you know, step, which is like the third step up. And I'm kissing a boy. And we lay back. So I'm kissing this boy. And all of a sudden, the boy like jumps up. And I'm like, what? And it's my dad standing over both of us. And he had, you know, nudged the boy with his boot or whatever. And the guy gets up and runs away, you know, or just goes away. I'm not acting like he's all running away scared. But so we get in the truck, and my dad is like, I can't believe you did this. Like, you lied to me. And I'm like, oh, it's just a little white lie. And he's like, it's a black lie. It's the worst lie ever. He was so mad. And he made my friend Michelle call her mom. And Michelle called our friend Darla. And Michelle was like, Mama, I lied to Mr. Larry. We went to a party, and Darla's like, what are you talking about? She's like, yeah, Mama, I'm real sorry. I'll never do it again. And so then my dad's pleased that she called and confessed her sins. And then she has to call Darla back later and be like, oh, this is what happened. And so that was just funny too. But anyway, that's the kind of crap that happened. I don't know if you can hear my washer. My friend Heidi's coming tomorrow to spend the night. And I'm washing the sheets because my friend Sarah was just here a few weeks ago. And I didn't wash it after she left. So anyway, that's story time as far as all that goes. Now, tell me if you had similar scenarios where you would get ready with your friends. And I also want you to know, at my house, there would be 3 or 4 of us girls getting ready in one bathroom that had one sink, and this one bathroom was for 4 people. As in, the 4 people in my house all use this one bathroom. And you know, now everybody's like got their own ensuite or blah, blah, blah. And like my daughter, she had her room and it had her own bathroom. And my son had the Jack and Jill's, and so he had his own bathroom. And his was because it was a Jack and Jill, one of them, we had a basement at our old our old house. And when we moved here, we just allowed him to just have one bedroom and the other Jack and Jill bedroom to be his like living room. And we had our old couch that was in the basement and blah, blah, blah. And he had a computer and, you know, he was 9 when we moved here. So it wasn't like he was like doing anything nefarious, but that's where him and his friends would hang out if they weren't outside playing. They were big skateboarders. And so they would just skateboard in the house. So many fun stories. Like, this is just making me reminisce. One of the funny things he did was that I found some videos. This was just like a year ago. My son will be 29 in March. Well, in a month, less than a month. And I found these videos, and one said Aaron's 15th birthday. So I'm watching it, and I'm like, oh, this is so good. And then all of a sudden, it phases out, and you see Matthew and his friends skating. And I'm like, you totally covered your sister's birthday party? And he's like, I don't know what to tell you. That was like 10-year-old me, not me now. So anyway, it was pretty funny. So I'm not gonna do much with it. I'm just gonna make sure that you can't see where the curlers were, but that's pretty much it. Okay, and so now I actually kind of like that. Why did I mess over there? Because it just looks kind of separated. Oh, white rain. I used the white bottle with pink. Do you guys remember that? Awesome. Okay, so now I'm gonna get ready. I'll show you what I'm gonna wear and we'll call it a night. Be right back. Okay, can you see? Can you see better? Okay. Okay, first of all, I do not like these little envelope things or tissue ends or whatever. I absolutely cannot stand that. So one day I will cut that off. That's the good thing about knowing how to sew, is that you can just totally, you know, adjust it for what you need. Anyway, thanks for getting ready with me. I'm about to leave and go dancing, and I will see you guys next time.